Look at us here today in this big air-conditioned auditorium with cushioned seats and high-tech equipment. You came here to listen to kids talk about sustainability. Maybe you're here because your kid goes here, or maybe you're part of our Cranley community and you wanted to show your support. The point is, you have the time and the resources to bring yourself here today. You have a car, you don't have to worry about where you're going to sleep. Maybe you're worried about what you might wear to this event or how many calories was in your lunch. Do you think, now you have the privilege to choose what you prioritize, and you have options. Now, do you think the villagers in the Carteret Islands who are seeing their gardens and wells salivated by rising sea levels have the ability to choose what they prioritize? Or this young gentleman. This is Azad. Azad is from Bangladesh and he's 8 years old. So if he attended Cranley, he'd been roughly year 4. Now, Azad has had to move 3 times now due to problems related to climate change. Look at his house. Well, the building beside him that we would call more of a shack. Do you think Azad is able to prioritize climate change when he has to think about where he's going to eat, sleep, and survive before he has to think about how he's going to eat, sleep, and survive before he can even think about the solution to solve these recurring problems? How about the people with power, like the leader of China? Well, 120 million people in China don't get enough food. I don't mean they just don't get dessert. I mean they actually suffer from malnutrition. Yes, solving climate change would help these problems, but do you think Xi Jinping is able to invest in long-term solutions to climate change when 120 million of his people are starving to death right now? There was a TikTok trend a couple of years ago where people realized they lived on the same planet as Beyoncé. Now, whether you're a fan of Beyoncé or not, it is pretty remarkable that we live in a world where things like the Met Gala exist, or the fact that we build machines and race them around an F1 track to see who built the fastest machine, or even the fact that we can send celebrities into space. Now, why do we live in a world like this? Why do we give money and power to people who use it to dress up and race cars? It's because it entertains us. We consume this content and we judge, admire, or aspire to the people that we watch. But while we are distracted by this, we forget that 805 million people go hungry every day. 90% of them live in undeveloped countries, and the vast majority are children, just like the children you've seen on this stage today, just like Azad. Not only do we live on the same planet as Beyoncé, but we also live on the same planet as these people, and we must not forget that. They assume that people only care about the threat of climate change if it is a threat to themselves. However, I have more faith in you guys. It is true that if the climate continues to increase at the rate it is, we will eventually get affected. However, there are people being affected by climate change right now, people who are paying for the consequences of our actions. We've created a world where 50% of all carbon emissions are emitted by the richest 10% of the population. That's us, by the way. Yet global warming is making climate change refugees of the world's poorest. Poor children, who are the most vulnerable of our human family, bear the brunt of these problems, which is heartbreakingly ironic because they are the demographic that has contributed the least. They are more likely to live in a house that can be washed away by a storm. They are more likely to lack the resources needed to escape a storm's path. And they are more likely to have no way to rebuild a home, replant a field, or restart a school. What if this was your child, and the people that could do something just said, well, I don't see a problem? So how can we not be these people? Well, I'm proud to say you being here today is a step in the right direction. We must educate ourselves. Read stories like Azad's. The UNICEF's website has some valuable insight into how people like Azad are being affected by climate change. You can also donate. You can always support organisations like Oxfam or the Planet Impact Fund. These organisations focus on delivering sustainable solutions and helping communities adapt to the problems of climate change. Or you can work on reducing your own carbon footprint by carpooling, turning up the AC by a couple of degrees, turning off the lights as you leave a room, or recycling. Well, we should all really be already turning off the lights when we leave a room and recycling. I mean, we're privileged enough to have electricity and a place to put our rubbish, so let's use it responsibly. However, there's one problem that climate change researchers still worry for, and that is that we still do not have a clean and effective energy source. Since the Industrial Revolution, emissions of greenhouse gases due to human activities have increased from a negligible level to more than 40 billion tonnes a year. As these emissions accumulated in our atmosphere, they have increased the average annual temperature by about 1 degree Celsius, compared with the pre-industrial era, which doesn't seem like a lot, but as you've seen on the news and with the facts presented to you today in these speeches, it is putting us in real danger. However, there is still countries that have some industrial catch-up to do. They too will release billions of greenhouse gases into our atmosphere as they grow their industry. But we can't deny them industrial improvement when others have used these toxic fuels when it suited them. However, if we could provide them with an energy that doesn't harm their industrial development or our planet, not only will we save our homeland, we will also educate the future generation on sustainability and how to look after each other, and therefore our planet. As Sheikh Zayed said, we must care for every person, especially the most vulnerable, and helping others is not a matter of kindness, it is a duty. I would like to end with a quote from the iconic Uncle Ben from the Marvel Comics. With great power comes great responsibility. So let's use our power responsibly. Thank you.